welcome back to another figure review. Today will be the review slash showcase of the Threezero Berserk figures. I recently done a review on Guts by himself, so I'll put that in the description down below and I'll link it at the end. That's a custom base that I did, and that's an amazing figure. But today is primarily going to be this guy here, the Skull Knight, and his companion piece, which is obviously the massive horse, which is an amazing accessory. This is not by Threezero, but it complements it so well. For anyone interested, the piece is done by Jiwei Hao on Instagram. He's an amazing artist that does a lot of other anime like stuff, and yeah, I think he has a lot more Berserk stuff installed. So what I'll do now is I'll go down to the plaque that he sends, and what I love about custom commission artists is they number and signature. So this is kind of like a COA, and yeah, it's really nice. It's got obviously the Berserk font with Skull Knight, awesome name placa, and it suits well with my custom little badge that I did with Guts here. And yeah, it's an awesome piece. It's very hefty. It's made out of resin and plastic, and you kind of have to build it together. It obviously doesn't come like this. And also I feel because he's covered up mostly in cloth, like the detail is insane. Like there's vein details. Obviously it needs a display base to hold up, especially if you're going to display him with the already heavy Threezero Skull Knight. But yeah, shout out to him, he done an amazing job, and it definitely is a worthy piece for a Berserk display. And I'll zoom into the Skull Knight himself by Threezero. Awesome job by those guys. Very hefty guy too. Got the rosary on the shield. You got the Behelit sword before the eyes, which is awesome. Unfortunately, a nitpick of mine is I dislike when figure companies omit glowing eyes unless you chuck the LEDs in. Almost like it forces you to have them on when it should be, regardless on off, they should be red. But you go down to the custom horse and the lights aren't on, but there is a LED option, but you can see it's still omitting that yellow. Just the detailing's insane on both pieces, you know. You got mass produced, and then you got a custom commission out of 80 here. And then you got Guts here by himself in the corner. Hopefully I can pair him up with Griffith eventually by Threezero, because that looks like a pretty awesome piece, and hopefully it comes in the few weeks. Got the skull detail there, the blood work I did myself. And an awesome head sculpt. Go all the way up to the Skull Knight. Oh yeah, and he does have an articulated jaw, little party trick too. If you want to have him like swallowing the sword, which that would be a pretty awesome pose. But most of the time he doesn't have his mouth open. Even when he talks, he doesn't. So what I'm thinking of doing now is removing guts from the display table I have here and just focus on Skull Knight and his horse. And really show the details of those guys. So if you guys do enjoy this, make sure you like and sub. And we'll get right into it. So now we've got the two of them just standing side by side. And this is more an unfortunate thing when it comes to me, where I kind of misjudged just how large Skull Knight's horse is. And I'm not too sure I can pose Skull Knight on top of the horse in my display. I think this is the way I'm most likely going to go. Just because I completely forgot how monstrous his horse was compared to the actual real life animal to human scale. You know, I've seen a lot of other 1/6 scale horses like the Westworld, Caesar, with the horse obviously, and you know, a lot of other Western cowboy style figures that do have horses, and this is very much an unrealistic size of a horse, which is actually accurate obviously to the manga and the anime. It's just, it was a huge misjudgment for me because I would have loved to have this guy hop on top, and me completely forgetting how big he is, I might be on a fine line if I can even have him on top. So that's to be seen once I get my module cases all set up and situated to put this guy in. But if I can't, this is probably the pose I'm going to go with, because I still think this is a really, really cool pose. And yeah, just zoom in a little bit close to the Skull Knight once again. Very mysterious character in the anime. And yeah, the detail is really, really nice. I would have loved, and I've heard a lot of people say this too, where this is kind of a squishy, not rubber, it feels like a plastic vinyl. It's a very squishy material for the rib cage. It would have been awesome if it was the hardened texture that the rest of the bones have. But that's probably for articulation's sake. If it probably was hard plastic bone structure, you probably wouldn't get that ab crunch, and then you wouldn't be able to pose him on top of the horse. So it's kind of a 50-50 thing for me. But the detail is really, really nice. Like I said, another complaint about the eyes. I would have loved them if they painted it as if it is alive. Much like the horse here. Man, I can't get how good this detailing is. Just the armor detail and the skull. The bone structure as well. The vein details is amazing. You get kind of the nude person there, which I don't want to show it just because of YouTube being YouTube. And yeah, you get the thorns on top of the Behelit sword. You get two swords, you get the more regular standard one, and then you get this as the exclusive. This being the exclusive, I'm going to have him posed as this. But yeah, it's such a sick companion piece. And I completely understand, now seeing this, why Threezero didn't want to do this. It's just so bulbous and massive. And then it's also the question, do collectors even want this? It's probably too big for people's display. And I think I'll finish off with these two like this. And I mean, is there any more to elaborate? I mean, look how good this looks. A Berserk fan, a 1/6 scale collector definitely needs this. I mean, even just the Skull Knight on his own is such a cool piece. But I think this completes the set for these two. And yeah, if I can squeeze these guys like this in the Moji case, I definitely will. If not, it'll just be like the opener where I just had them two standing side by side. I just hope I can put him in the display like this, because this is amazing. And that's pretty much it for today. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like and sub. And I'll see you in the next one.